I've always seen film productions as kind of like a military invasion. You know, if you're going to invade a country, first you send in your Navy SEALs, and you try to get people, local people who actually support your efforts to kind of get on your side. And then you kind of lay the groundwork, you do a little bit of research, and then you get your locations in place, and then the invasion happens. The trucks show up, and it's like D-Day. And I've always kind of looked at it like that, but in a way where I'm going to try to make that invasion hopefully positive. Okay, my name is Ed Mccurdy, or Eastside Ed. I'm the film liaison of the downtown East Side. So I chaperone film crews who film in the poorest postal code in Canada. I started my tour of duty in the downtown East Side in 2001. I don't know who's counting, 7,500 people living in 4 blocks, people with mental health issues, people with addiction issues. I mean, I feel kind of like some demented voyeur, but I wanted to work down here. So I left my job in television. I used to produce a crappy breakfast show.
Coming up in the next half hour on Vancouver Breakfast, oh my goodness, it's Christian the Clown, yay! Oh, happy little Christian the Clown, there he is.
I had a punk rock cooking show.
Have you ever noticed how most cooking shows are shot in kitchens that are nothing like the one you're in? Well, today we're visiting my friend Eddie Norton, and his kitchen's probably worse than the one you're in.
To working at a front desk in an SRO, dragging garbage out, reversing ODs, dispensing meds, just being there for people. A filmmaker introduced himself one time to me, David Ray, and he was working on this movie called Fetching Cody. Dave comes up and says, oh my God, Ed, we need someone who's going to be on set with us to just, you know, get us access to buildings, do crowd control, because if you're filming in this neighborhood, you're going to be dealing with locals. And there's this juxtaposition where film and the neighborhood meet. This alley is normally full of garbage. These dumpsters are gone into daily by dumpster divers. So the alley now, I think, has been cleaned 3 times. Pressure washed, garbage removed. We have set deck here, my favorite department, and we have empty bags of garbage. They all have paper in them. Binners are always aware that there are treasures hidden in the alley, and so they see all this fake garbage, and one of my jobs is saying, hey, don't touch the fake garbage. But I've had people actually not believe me and continue digging, and I have to bribe them with Tim Hortons cards to get out of our fake garbage. Sign of the times, man. We're living in the age of apocalypse.
It's like living in a third world down here. It's gross. It's you know, it's the low part of the city. What's that saying? Shit rolls downhill. I just don't want to. I want to go where it's quiet.
Yeah. My experience as being a misfit toy and, you know, an addict on and off, there's just this common language, there's this connection where there's this trust, this bond of trust where, okay, I can talk to this person. I have always been of a mind, if you are on the fucking street begging, I'm gonna give you $5. Like, I don't care if you buy dope, you should buy dope. If I was on the street, you need dope when you're on the street. You need to stay awake. Like, fentanyl and meth keep you warm and give you confidence. This job, as you guys know, it pushes you. You get tired, and believe me, drugs are very tempting, particularly the hard drugs. Like, you know, I won't lie, I went through a period of being addicted to heroin while I was working this industry, like 10 years ago. You know, I'd go through a quarter gram of heroin a day, no one knew. Like, didn't lose my job, didn't rob anyone, I wasn't shooting up, I just snorting heroin, and man, it makes you invincible. Every film unit I work with, someone will come up to me and go, I was fucked up on cocaine 10 years ago, or my brother is down here, or my son is down here. That's the biggest crossover, I think, is drugs. Here comes another ambulance. My brain has been shattered by sirens. Here comes another one. Must be some bad dope in the neighborhood today, like it's just nonstop. When I hear those ambulances all day, It means there's really bad dope. And it's not a welfare day. It's a bad dope day. So yeah, Victory Square, weed dealers versus the alcoholics. Take one. Alcoholics are really hard to deal with. There's no way there's going to be a buy-in. They're too fucked up, right? They're really the hardest people to deal with are alcoholics. I know it's a disease. I feel sorry for them. I've battled alcoholism. But people who are in the park just banging vodka all day are chaotic and like really hard to manage. And my very first action was to figure out how are we going to invade this fucking park. I realized immediately the weed dealers were my only in. So I fed them gift cards every fucking day. And I found a little area, an enclosed area by Arch Alley where they could sit and sell their weed. And I could, direct people to them. But what made them happier was distributing leftovers. I found that, and this is really heartening, that it really, really gave them a sense of value. They became very friendly with film, and I had guys come up to say, hey, if I get cleaned up, is there any possibility I could get into the film industry? And so a lot of these guys were like inspired, and they saw that people on a film set are basically a bunch of carnies with money, and they thought I could fit into this world. But I just don't think there's any escape paths here. There's no way of getting out. It's a jail. Like, been on here 20 years. I've seen the opening of Eastside. I've seen, there are things that are incremental improvements. Like, there's more housing. There's more outreach. The life expectancy of a downtown Eastside resident has been increased, I think, by 10 years. But what kind of life is that if there's no exit? This isn't a beautiful community. This is like a plane crash. Fuck! I'm known, I guess, for having a very unorthodox way of solving problems. We had a crew of like a girl gang of crack dealers, and they were slinging crack down at the end of the alley, and there was this crazy old man doing kung fu moves, and one of the chicks kicked him in the head, and it was fucking gnarly. And they said, well, there's an insane man living under the bridge. We've tried offering him money. He doesn't seem to understand that. We've tried food. He threw the food at us. They wanted me to move them, and I said, well, they're making a lot of money down there. I don't really think that's going to roll. I said, but how about I go down and pretend I'm smoking crack, and I can kind of keep them in check. Oh, okay, that works. The production was losing its mind, worried that like 100 fucking guys with their shopping carts are going to show up. The man was frequently without a shirt. He had a huge swastika tattooed on him, and he had no front teeth, just his fangs. Eastside Ed, you want to go deal with that? And they were literally within minutes of setting it on fire again. And I went, oh my God, there's a drunk German tourist in the car, and he keeps showing up. He showed his dick to Crafty. It was a fucking nightmare. And he said, but this is a Volvo. It's a terrible thing to do to a Volvo. And Roger pulls up in his wheelchair. What the fuck's going on here? And he always called me like a faggot and a fucking Jew, and he was just a terrible man when he was smoking crack. What? What do you do for a living? I'm like, I'm an outreach worker and I work in the film industry, and this is a crazy fucking story, but the man's threatening to kill my family. And the futuristic stormtroopers are shooting at people, pew, 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 and they're all running around. Like, my wife's like, we're gonna be there. And I'm like, don't come home now. Like, do not come home now. We're coming here, Roger's swinging at me with his fucking one arm, and Christine sees it and fucking flies onto the wheelchair and just starts fucking punching him. And I walked away. Just walked away. Oh man, I mean, remember one time we're filming something here and he's smoking crack and he's racing through traffic. A bus nearly hit him. I'm chasing him around. It was like slapstick. I mean, but then oddly enough, at the end of the evening, we'd be chumming it up. I mean, that's the neighborhood. And that's what I love about this neighborhood. You can have beefs with people. You can be fuck you, and then it's all good 10 minutes later. And I like that. I mean, that would never happen in real life, but people are so used to trauma and reconciliation down here that that's just the way it is. It's very honest relationships. You know, people judge. They see a guy covered in tattoos, like all hunched over, and they think he's some kind of miscreant. But no, like, I've seen kindness down here that people can't comprehend. I've seen people give their last 10 bucks to someone who's sick on the street because they know what that's like. So whenever I'm approaching people, when I have to move them along, I have in the back of my head what their daily challenges are, how I couldn't live like that, and how many fucking times I've been, how you doing?
He's always loved us. He's always loved us.
Have a good one, man. Do you want Jimmy's card? God, the invention of portable speakers has made me crazy. I'm like, headphones. You're basically gonna roll up at 7 a.m. There's probably gonna be people sleeping in front of the building. And you're just gonna, cops will be there, and you're just gonna say, hey guys, really sorry. Here's a few gift cards, so sorry. And they'll probably bounce. And then you just hang out with the cops in front of the building all day.
Cool.
And
I've been woken up in worse ways when I was on the streets.
I was homeless for about a week at one time. And it never left me, and I mean...
It doesn't.
Nope.
It's been 10 years and I still feel like I have more in common with half of these people than most of my coworkers. So I was working a field location in the Lower East Side, and I noticed that for the first time there was actually at least one person that was thinking about the welfare of the residents of that neighborhood, instead of just calling them addicts or that sketchy guy in the alley. Used the term people. And like, I had so much time in my life where I know that I wasn't a person in other people's eyes.
I noticed immediately with you, I could see you watching, and I think you came out one day and said, hey, thanks for doing this. Like, I was homeless, and, you know, I appreciate that you're talking to people, and, you know, and I can feel that you're gonna do that. Like, you're gonna talk to them and be natural and not top down, and that's the whole job. I know in any given situation, you're gonna follow your gut, and that's gonna be the right decision. I'm gonna lock it. I gotta lock this. Seriously, we had a guy locked in one of these things last week, and the Full Moon Rentals came to pick it up, and this guy almost took a trip out to Full Moon Rentals freaking parking lot. There's just always action. And yet, when I go home at night, I just want to get back here, and it's really fucked up.
No, Mundo needs a volunteer. Hey. Oh, Mundo. He finally found one, huh? Hey.